Okay, so we have two frozen crusts here. There's one, there's the other. Both same recipe, pizza napolitana, which is very similar to the pan ancienne, slow fermentation, etc. And they've been rolled out and then frozen after the 1 to 3 day slow fermentation in the fridge. The test here is, how will they cook in the wood-fired oven at 650 degrees if I put one in frozen like this, sauce it, cheese it, throw it in there. I already actually know, I've done this before. It's not that great, it's almost acceptable, but in this one, we're going to do it again on that one, but this one I'm going to let it thaw out for X number of minutes so that it reaches a state where it's still solid, or mostly solid and easy to handle, but mostly thawed out as well. But not to the point where it'll stick to the surface that I'm working with. That's the problem. When you roll out the fresh dough, this is a very wet dough. You've got a few minutes to work with it and start sticking. So if I can do this ahead of time, freeze them, and then thaw them out for X number of minutes, I don't know exactly how much. It's, well, let's call it 10:48 right now. So 10:48, we'll start timing. I don't know how long it'll take, but I want to get it to that state where it's still fairly solid, a little solid, easy to handle. Throw it right in the oven, and we'll go from there. Let's see what happens. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, so for the test, I'm not going to worry about cheese, and I'm just going to use this passato, which is like a puree. 1 2-ounce scoop is what I've determined. I'd rather have the crushed pomodoros, but whatever. This is just a test on the crust. So we'll just, now with this kind of stuff, you don't want a whole lot of liquid on there, because you're only going to be in the oven for a couple of minutes. So I've determined 2 ounces of tomato product. This 1 scoop is where it's at, and we'll just throw some oregano and salt. Hold on. Okay, now let's see how it cooks. It's already getting a little bit thawed out, but this will be the thawed out test. This is essentially totally frozen. Very easy to pick up because it's solid frozen. So there we go in the oven. And the oven is, hold on. Okay, so it's probably been about a minute, and I turned it once. We are seeing some puffing up of the crust, which is good. It thawed out and it's starting to expand and come to life. You see the little burn marks in the front. It used to be on the back. I already rotated it once, but it's coming along. About a minute and a half so far from a frozen crust. Okay, so here's after about 2.5, maybe 3.5 minutes max. This was a frozen crust. It did puff up pretty good. My oven probably should be a little bit warmer, but what I notice on the frozen, you get a more extreme differentiation between the white and the char marks. I'm hoping that the thawed out one, as we try shortly, will come out better. But I am happy that it kind of puffed up on us. And this burn mark in the middle, I mean, there's no cheese in there, so maybe that's why. So now we cut this guy here. Take a look. We got, you know, a little bit of structure in there. A little thinner than I like in the middle. Let's see this one here. Pretty good bubbly structure. I think this would be very acceptable at a festival for sure. It smells good. I'm going to try it now. So here's this guy. I put in a rolled out frozen crust, and it's very acceptable, and it tastes pretty good. I would say it's 85–90% of what, pizza napolitana kind of thing that I normally do would be. But next we're going to try version 2. Same dough. It's been thawed out. See how flexible it is? But it's still frozen enough and cold enough that it's not sticking yet. So it's, 48? So it's been out for, I'll have to review the tape, but I'm thinking about 10 minutes. So maybe 10 minutes is the right time to thaw. Let's see what happens. Okay, so here we go. It's still cold enough to pick up without even... Let me hold on just a second here. Without even flouring my peel, but it's still at the it's at the end of being okay to pick up. It's really thawing out. I mean, that's thawed out dough. It's just still cold. And because it's cold, it allows me to pick it up easily without sticking my peel and giving me fear that soon it will be stuck. So, oh my God, stuck! Son of a bitch. There it is, disaster. There it is. It actually stuck to my peel. But, so it's deformed now, because after that short period of time, I had a little stickage. Damn it. Let's see what happens. We'll cook it anyway. Okay, so now what do we see? It looks like a slightly superior pizza. If you can see in the middle, it's puffing up in the middle as well, where the frozen one was pretty flat in the middle, just the crust puffed up. But as you saw, when I put this in, it started to stick, so it's slightly deformed. Let me bring it out. Okay, so this one looks like it cooked a little bit better than the one that went in frozen. So there it is. Now, we have the deformity here because it started to stick. That's the issue. I took